Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Elizabeth. Welcome to my house in Massachusetts. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Benedict. We're here at my home in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. This is my dog, Woody. Our house was built in 1910. It's a Georgian Colonial. We moved here 18 years ago when I was pregnant with my third child. We now have 4 kids. What we loved about the house was the proximity to Boston. We live across the street from Boston College, so it's still very urban. But we are in suburbia, so we have nice school systems, a great community, a really cute downtown village. We really have loved living here in Newton. This was the first house I looked at. It was a broker open house, so I sort of came in off the record and knew that it was the right house for us. It's actually 4-story living, and we can keep it small when we want to or open it up when all the kids are home. The family who lived here before we bought it had been here for over 20 years, and they were very academic. It was all white walls. Nothing had been touched in probably 20 years. We had a Formica kitchen, and the room was separated by French doors throughout the house. So it was all so segregated. Having little kids, we really wanted to open it up, so we renovated it in stages. Before we moved in, we opened it the most we can, and about 10 years ago, we renovated the kitchen and we put a cabana outside, which gave my husband a man cave for his college football games. Welcome to my foyer. I wanted a center hall table for the longest time, and I never thought the space was big enough for it. I ended up using this table in a show house, and it didn't sell, so I bought it home and I put it here, and it's been here probably for 10 years. It has a collection, the beginning of my collection of blue and white. Some of this is vintage, some of it is real, some of it's reproduction, and it sort of carries throughout my space. You'll find it up the stairs and going down the hall. The favorite thing about this space are my flying Santas. I bought these in New York when we were first married, and they are falling apart, and I keep trying to put them back together because I love them so much. Like, this guy used to have really big antlers and they all broke off, but I think you get the picture. And I also like during the holidays to use a lot of different greens. Usually I use about 7 different varieties and weed them together so that it feels a little bit more natural, a little bit more layered, sort of how we design. We just keep piling it on until it looks right. We put this wallpaper in before we even moved into the house. It's Brunswick and Fee. It is called Coletta, and unfortunately it is discontinued. My big kids live on the 3rd floor, and there's a shower up there, and they flooded it a couple of years ago, and I had to hire a decorative painter to actually paint it back in because I couldn't replace it. And then the floor is original to the house. It is, we've had it refinished, and we had it stained in a teak color, which is very reminiscent of our time in Southeast Asia. And so we didn't want it too dark, we didn't want it too light, and we ended up with this natural red color, which you don't really see that often. So my house is so uniquely me. It is the one thing that I can say is it's collected. It's my whole journey. It's my family's journey. And so it's very authentic. What it does for me as a designer, it gives me a place to experiment, a way to figure out if things work or don't work. It also shows clients that you can throw a lot in a space and it's not chaotic. Sometimes we have to design all white houses or something that's more traditional or transitional, more modern. My house is definitely not that. My house is made for me, just like I make houses for other people to be their style. It should be authentic. So having a center hall colonial, we have the kitchen on one side and the living area on the other. So why don't we go into the living room and I'll show you around. It's a front to back, so it's long and narrow. We use it for 3 different scenarios. We have sort of a family room set up in the middle with the TV, and then we have a game table towards the back of the room and my desk at the front. The biggest things to highlight in the space are the ceiling, which, because the room is so long and narrow, you can see that the pattern changes at sort of each different point. So the gallery wall is a collection of all of the places that we've been. Not all of them, but it's a lot of the things that we've done. You can see a lot of the vintage maps are here, but my favorite painting is this one up here. And this is something that I bought when we were in Jordan. And so it's just, it was at the beginning of our marriage. It was the first real piece of art that I actually purchased for myself. And it's just found a lovely home in this collection. You can see it also reinforces my color palette, which as a designer, sometimes I can't help it. And then here is our fireplace wall, and this is sort of where Christmas happens the most. It has all of our stockings, and again, this sort of layered 7 different types of greens. The dogs even have stockings, and then we have our carolers, which are a sort of one for each of us. So you see there's 2 girls and 2 boys. So because this room is a little bit casual, we just have a big ottoman to put your feet up on. But these are proteas, which are a favorite of mine. We spent some time in South Africa a few years ago, and every time they have these at the flower market, I try to pick them up. Swivel chairs are amazing for getting around tight spaces. Here's our game table, and we use this all the time. The kids do puzzles or play Scrabble when their grandparents are in town. Sometimes they'll do homework or pop up a laptop here while we're watching football. So it really is a multi-purpose space. And even just a few details here with the berries. And we replaced a piece of art with the wreath just for the holidays. The bookcases are filled again with things that we've collected along our ways. We have some paintings here from when we were in the Middle East, another painting here from Charleston, South Carolina, milestones of the kids, some antique plates that were my mom's, lots of children's books along the way here. And one thing I love are these old block print. These are actual blocks for making fabric. When my kids were in a wedding, graduation, I mean, it's just all of our life. So our Christmas tree is filled with a hodgepodge of things from our life. Here's an ornament from Hong Kong. It's actually made out of bamboo. Here's something that a colleague of mine made. This is my shop that's down the street. She had it painted. This one's from London, from Fortnum and Mason. Another friend painted this, Elena Boriardi. She does all of these dots. Another artist that we rep painted this one for us, Logan Ledford. Then I have things, my mom bought these at the Festival of Trees when I was little, and she made these angels. She crocheted them. So it's really just a hodgepodge. Nothing makes sense. There's no theme. This was the only thing that I bought that I have a lot of, and I just love the pop of red that it brought to the table, or to the tree. It's like they're just big gumballs. I think they're so fun. This is the only tree we have in our house. We keep one in the backyard that has colored lights that my kids love to see at night, but we don't. The only thing we do to that is put the lights on it. We put the tree in the same spot every year. It's so you can see it from the street, and the first thing you see when you walk in the front door. I have extra seating and stools for many different purposes. Vintage things that we've rehabbed. You never know when you're going to have company or have to pull up an extra chair. Plus, as a designer, any reason to layer another thing in or bring in a new fabric, stools are the easiest way to do it. This is my desk. I bought this when we lived in Hong Kong on the Hollywood Road. I've had it for 25 years now. I have a collection of my favorite photos from my kids, and then my mom collected paperweights, and so I have a handful of hers here. I also have this. This was actually my great-grandmother's. She picked it up in London when Queen Elizabeth was first coronated, and so I've had it in my collection of things ever since. I am Elizabeth. It goes with my business, which is called Elizabeth Home, and my slogan has come from this, and it says "Live Royally." Oh, this is a decoupage lamp, and so this is a company called Carson and Company. She doesn't make them anymore, but everyone is completely authentic and unique. She actually cuts out and puts the all of the frogs and the flowers, and then she glazes from the inside out. So they're completely unique. Not one's the same. This one has the craziest things on it. There's butterflies and bugs and frogs and flowers, and I love it. And right off the living room, we have our sunroom. So why don't we take a walk into there? So this is our sunroom. It's the coziest room in the house. When the kids were little, it was filled to the rim with toys. And as they got bigger, we ended up putting a TV in here, and it sort of became a dumping ground for where we've been. So we have these Santas we picked up in India. This is a Tibetan pillow. We have little beaded animals from when we were in Tanzania. And this is a portrait of my parents from when they were in Istanbul. And this came from Venice. And so it's just a collection of everything. Teapots from Thailand. This guy's from India. This room was part of the house. A lot of the center hall colonials in this area have sort of these smaller sunrooms that are an extension of the house. It is original, or at least as long as we've been here. We just cleaned it up. The brick fireplace was here, and it shares a flue with the living room. So I think this was always an internal space, but you get so much light. There are 8 windows in this room. So it's a nice place to be in the spring or the summer to open it all up and let the breeze come through. So over here we have this great little vintage chair that I picked up on the side of the road and just put a remnant fabric on it. We also have this very Southeast Asian vibe going on here with some fretwork, a bamboo table, and these jars that I got in Bangkok years and years ago. So I'm a sucker for a fiddle fig tree. I buy them, and usually they last about 5 years. When I first got this one, it touched the ceiling, it filled the whole corner, and now I actually have to zip tie it together just to make sure it continues to grow. But as soon as it's had its life, I'll get a new one. My style and my decor is Color, it's very saturated. We lived in Hong Kong for a couple of years when we were newlyweds, and that was really influential to me starting my business. It's reflected in the colors in my house. It's all very spicy. A lot of colors that you'd see in Southeast Asia are reflected here. I find that color it envelops you with warmth, and my house sort of reflects that. When I was in college, I studied economics, and I moved to New York and worked on Wall Street. I met my husband in New York and thought I was just chugging away at my career. He was offered a job over in Hong Kong, so we did a 2-year contract. And while I was there, I was completely influenced and enamored with the culture and the color and everything, the travel. So I started working at a local gallery and sourcing for the gallery. So that got me to go to Thailand and Singapore, Malaysia. And I started doing these trunk shows back in New York under the name of Essential Asia. Then when we moved to Boston, I had no family here. We didn't really have a community. I had a newborn, and my husband for Christmas enrolled me at New England School of Art and Design. He said that he saw I had a real passion for design, so I went back and got my degree in decorative arts, and soon after started my own business. So here we are in my dining room. About 10 years ago, we took down the wall that separated the dining room to the kitchen. We wanted a bigger space and to be more engaged with the kids while they were doing homework or family meals. And so it's a formal-ish dining room that spills right into the kitchen. Dining room table is all set for Christmas Eve dinner, and we have our Santa plates, and I have my monogram Christmas napkins. I have this silverware that was actually my great-grandfather's. When I told my mom that we were engaged, she said, "Oh, I was really hoping because I have a gift for you." And she gave me this silver because his last name was Behringer, and it was already monogrammed with a B. And so she had been holding on to it for all this time, hoping one of us would soon have the last name that would make sense with the silver. So we usually have Christmas crackers and these little treats, and so it's sort of Christmas never ends, or actually it does begin here, and in the morning we'll open presents to each other. This table is not too formal. We don't use a tablecloth. These are just placemats that I had bought years ago in Thailand. The centerpiece is just leftover greens that I had used for the mantle with some pomegranates and acorns, some holiday candles, and we bought out the good crystal for wine and water. So for Christmas dinner, my husband always makes a crown roast. I think just because he loves the presentation of how it looks with all of the chops in a circle. And we pair it with mac and cheese because Uncle Chris makes the best homemade mac and cheese, and it's just become sort of a family tradition. It's sort of fancy meets homey, and we do it every year. So this is a great urban electric chandelier. It's mirrored, and at night it just reflects all of what's happening underneath it. It's like your table of 6 became a party of 12 and makes it a little bit more festive. I found this great armoire with the chicken wire fronts at a secondhand shop, and we keep crystal and china and things that you get for your wedding that you never really use in here. Some old photographs from the family and lots of little elephants that I've collected over the years have made their way here. I have this one pair that I love that are silver from Thailand. And they actually open up, so you can put some sort of treat in there or a hideaway. I'm obsessed with elephants because of my travels. When we first went to Thailand, I was so surprised that you could actually walk up to one and pet one. And did you know that they're kind of hairy, but they're so cute? Even on the dining room table, we have our knife rests, are these little silver elephants. So this is our dry bar, and to keep things sort of casual and fun, we have a kegerator next to my mother's old punch bowl. So again, a little fancy and a little bit homey. So we're ready for anything. As you can see, I go all out for the holidays. My family home was filled with a lot of tradition and collections, and after my parents passed away, I was able to take on all of my mom's collections. So I've got a great Santa collection, I have a Nutcracker collection, I have things that I've picked up along the way. Our tree is filled with lots of old and new. We have great little bamboo ornaments that we got in Hong Kong. We have things that we bought when our kids were little or things that they made, and then some new fresh things that that you get exposed to and you need to add them to your tree. Every year we go bowling with our in-laws. It's always a fun way to do, to get together, or with my sister and her 5 kids. So it's not all about being in the house. The kids like to go ice skating. We usually try to do the tree all together, although now I have 2 in college. So it's hard when they aren't here and you have to do the traditions without them. So moving out of the dining room and into the kitchen, even though it's all one room, this is really the heart of the house. We all like to cook, and this is a great space where we can all be together. Somebody can be at the island or on the dining room table while we're cooking and cleaning. And so it's a nice integration into the rest of the house without it feeling like the kitchen is sort of an afterthought. So I'm the everyday cook, and I have, all of the favorites. My husband loves to cook though, but it becomes like a big production, and nobody really wants to be in the kitchen when he's cooking because he gets so intense about it. But he is an amazing cook, and so he decides to cook on the big occasions like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and sometimes, Super Bowl. But for me, I like to cook the basics. So the island with this center sink, I like everything to be a little bit symmetrical. So we've got some preserved boxwoods. This year I'm trying to grow my own paper whites. And then we've got this amaryllis ball that's dipped in wax that I just thought was the coolest thing. And so I'm going to attempt to grow these for the holidays. And we have a wood top, which is unusual. But again, this has been here for over 10 years, and it's just patinaed a bit with us. And the bit of wood makes it feel a little bit warmer, and it's not another hard surface. Even our lanterns have a little bit of Christmas. We soften them up just by wrapping them with greens. So my husband likes to make pizza, and we actually have a pizza oven outside. I found this great vintage pizza peel years ago, and when we hung it up, we didn't realize that there was a bird sort of burned into it, which is so cool. It became a piece of art. As a designer, I'm always looking for another space to style. This is one of our bar carts in our kitchen. We actually have 2. This is a great space to have the bar set up, but also cookies and some water. It's right next to the dining room, so it serves as a mini buffet when we need it. When we first moved into the house, we didn't have a mudroom, and this window used to be the exterior of the house. So we loved that you could still see down and into the backyard, so we left it. Here is another bar cart that we keep in our kitchen. This one's always set. This is vintage, and we have a vintage stool that we pull up when we have company. Decorating your own house is paralyzing. No matter how many resources you have in front of you, I think the more you have, the harder it is. So, for my clients, I'm so objective, and it goes back to sort of my sensible math background where I see it like a geometry equation. When I walk into a client's house, I know what's supposed to go where, how it's going to fit. There's always some sort of jumping off point. When it's your own house, it feels like such a commitment. And I really can appreciate that my clients have a hard time with it because I have a hard time in my own house. What do I love most about my home is just the sense of comfort. You come in here and you really feel like you can be yourself, you can relax, you can futz around, it's our whole history. When my kids aren't here, they're all big now. So I've got 2 in high school and 2 in college. And this whole house is our life. And so you're constantly reminded of that, all of the good times and the big things and the little things, and hanging out in the living room watching movies or football or cooking in the kitchen. This is just us in a nutshell. So here we are in the mudroom. Again, this was an addition that we put on because we had 4 kids, a lot of in and out of the house. And so the only way to do it with the access to the basement downstairs was to have this pitched roof and this set of stairs. Every kid gets a cubby, and above the cubby is my mother's Santa collection. I love pulling this out every year. It's sort of like they need to know when they come in the door whether they're going to be naughty or nice. And so this is just sort of a reminder that Christmas is around the corner. My favorite Santa is the guy here with the ski poles. Whether he's going for a ski or a hike, that's one of my favorite pastimes. The family rules, this is just a funny little sign that I think I got at HomeGoods. It really says what the rules are. Always tell the truth, work hard, keep your promises, try new things, don't whine. Laugh out loud, always say I love you, use kind words, do your best, be grateful, be kind, be proud of yourself. Say please and thank you. It doesn't matter where it comes from, it's kind of good words of advice. So while my kids have cubbies, my husband and I are a lot messier than they are, and we needed a place to hide away our things, so we put these built-ins in, and then I had a local artist paint the fronts of them so that they'd be more interesting. And they gave me this chinoiserie motif on the front. Fits in with the rest of the stuff in our house. So we have this little powder room off the kitchen. It's so super cute. It's the smallest room, and we needed storage, so I had this vanity made, and it has this little secret door where we can keep all of our toiletries and anything you might need. Plus, it's got this great wallpaper. This house is especially homey because it's filled with things that were my grandmother's, things that were part of my husband's family, things that were my parents, things that we have. It's just our whole life, and it has such warmth to it, and such it just has so much history and love that walking in the door is immediately your day is better. So travel is a really important part of our family dynamic. It has been, I think, starting a marriage off in a foreign country and committing to always explore and find new things and teaching our kids how to do that at a young age. And this house is a big reflection of that. We have things from everywhere we've been, even if it's just photographs, and that is our whole Rolodex of life is reflected here in our travels. So why don't we head upstairs and I'll show you my bedroom and another collection at the top of the stairs. At the top of the stairs, we decided just to keep going with Christmas, and here is our crazy nutcracker collection. I'd have to say my favorite guy is this one over here. I just love his hat with the bells. I think it's so funny. So again, this was another one that was just passed down to me. I have never bought a nutcracker. It came from my parents. And just right here is our primary bedroom. So I'd love to show it to you. What I love most about this space is all of this molding is original. The only thing that we had to do in here when we moved in, we needed a chase for all of our HVAC equipment. So we put it behind this wall, which gave us a nice feature wall for the bed. It didn't leave us much room for nightstands, so we found these great etagères and used them as the nightstand. They're so multi-purpose because they have so many shelves. And we couldn't put a lamp because they're so narrow at the top, so we ended up putting these over the bed sconces. So continuing Christmas, we just put a little bit of boxwood garland over the headboard and these beautiful flowers, which are just so Christmassy. I love them. This bedroom is just a continuation of downstairs. For my design, I really believe in a cohesive color palette, and so you'll see a lot of the colors ebb and flow throughout the house. This blue and white is very chinoiserie. It goes with the style of the blue and white pottery that I have throughout the house. It's also reiterated on top of our armoire. These are pieces that I bought when we first lived in Hong Kong. So this is an old bamboo ladder that I got when we were living abroad, and it's where I hang all of my scarves. So I won this painting on Instagram. It was like an Instagram giveaway. The artist is out of Rhode Island. Her name's Karen Murphy, and I ended up doing an art show for her afterwards at our studio. She's a wonderful oil painter. Again, another vintage chair that I picked up with a fun fabric. We have a sofa in our bedroom. I have had this sofa since I lived in New York. An old family that I babysat for when I was a teenager was getting rid of it, so they gave it to me when I had my first apartment. We just put a wreath over a mirror, and I love these pillows. These are by Scott Meacham Wood, and they have reindeer on them. So our window treatments are, again, a little bit formal and a little bit homey. I love woven woods because they add texture and they filter the light, but we can close up the drapes when we want to sleep in. And carrying Christmas through, this is everything I want for Christmas. Home means family. And when we're all here together, we're all home. Having Christmas at home is super important to my family. We've tried to get them to go on trips, taking advantage of school vacations and leaving before Christmas, but they all want to wake up here.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.